Karen Wells and welcome to Module 3 on this Forensic Psychology Diploma course. So Module 3 is all about deception. So again, you would have done a self-assessment task at the end of Module 2. So let's now move on together to Module 3, all about deception. Now, within your role as a psychologist, a forensic psychologist, you're going to encounter these people who will lie to protect themselves or to also protect others. Now, while we have to really say that people will tell the truth for most of the time, some will try to deceive. So to ensure that the right person is found guilty of any crime, it's important to be able to filter out the truth and to detect those times when somebody is really deliberately lying or trying to hide the truth. And deception, of course, can occur for many reasons. Now, to understand deception within the role of a forensic psychologist, we've got to understand the nature of lying, because people lie really in different ways. So you'll see that somebody will try to tell a lie in the same way as if they're telling the truth. So they might try to hide the truth by providing information to mislead somebody. You might receive partial truths and they might omit some facts. This can make it difficult to, of course, form an accurate opinion of the person or the crime. They might tell the truth, but in such a way it would sound unbelievable. So, of course, you're going to encounter people as well with some level of psychosis. So if it's an extreme form, they're going to find it exceedingly difficult to differentiate between an imaginary situation and really what's real. So if the offender's an adult but has mental health issues or a learning disability, they may not be able to tell the difference between the facts and what they want the facts to be. So really, lying successfully is not really as easy as it sounds. So if somebody's trying to deliberately lie, they've got to first set up the lie. That requires imagination and ability to think through all aspects of the lie. They've got to hold the lie together, coupling it with the facts that are known. So there might be plausible possibilities. So the defender has to try to make their deception believable, and this highlights an intellectual. So there's 4 main considerations if somebody is lying or they want to practice deception. The first is a psychological approach, okay? So this is recording any psychological changes in the offender's body when they're answering questions. So it's looking perhaps a little bit at body language. The second is behavioural approach. This is where the person is assessed to see whether they're revealing any emotional or stressful implications of lying. The third is semantic assessment. This is where somebody's words are examined very carefully. The meaning to the answers are also examined. The fourth is the legal approach. So where the person is questioned in a court of law and a detailed examination of that statement occurs. So if we take a closer look at the psychological approach, we're looking at brain fingerprinting there. And this is where electrical activity in the brain is mapped. So this is really to deter and to see with the lie detector test, which we would call brain fingerprinting. The second is observations, where we're monitoring somebody's behaviour. The third is micro-twitching or twitches. So this is another fight against deception. So some examples of that would be if a suspect is asked about his feelings towards a victim, and his verbal response is that he likes the person, and he says this with some confidence, you might spot a micro-twitch. So micro-twitching is one of the elements there. Paralinguistic cues as well. So this is where somebody talks more often about what they would say. Semantic assessment. We've put information there for you. False confessions, because hey, that's going to happen, and it certainly does happen too. So quite in-depth Module 3. We've got some more self-assessment tasks there for you. The first being, why would a suspect confess to a crime they didn't commit? The second being, describe semantic assessment. The third being, what's meant by paralinguistic cues. The fourth being, what's a micro-twitch? The fifth and last assessment on Module 3 is what's meant by a psychological approach. Once you've done that, I'll see you on Module 4. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen E. Wells, and welcome to this Professional Forensic Psychology Diploma course. Now, this course is aimed at those of you that are already psychologists, or for those of you that have an interest in forensic psychology and you want to bring that either for your own self-development, to learn a new skill, or you want to create a career as a forensic psychologist. Now, if you're already a psychologist, you can simply add this diploma course onto your existing skills. And we've got the course fully accredited by the CTAA, which is the Complementary Therapist Accredited Association. So let's have a look at exactly what we've put in this course for you today. So the course is covering what is forensic psychology. We're covering the criminal world. We're covering deception, interviewing, understanding victims of crime, measuring and assessing, and everything really that you need to know about the world and how to work within forensic psychology. We'll give you information about how to obtain your diploma as well, which is fully accredited by myself and the CTAA. So if you're ready to join us, I'm really looking forward to taking you through this course, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen E. Wells, and welcome to Module 1 on this Forensic Psychology Diploma course. Now, before we move into the contents of Module 1 and really the rest of the course, the way that we run the courses is that we put a lot of information into a very in-depth training manual directly for you. We do the videos to go alongside that, but really the videos are just really a highlight of what's included within the forensic psychology course itself. So as we move into Module 1 and each module after that, please make sure that you do have the training manual to hand, because you'll need that as we move through, because as I say, we put most of the information within the training manual itself. Now, at the end of each of the modules in the training manual, there'll be some self-assessment tasks, so you'll need to take your time over those, and they're really just for your own contemplation and to just make sure that you're up to the level of learning with where we are in the course. At the end of the course, you've got your final assessment task to submit to us, and upon submitting and reviewing those, we'll issue you with your certificate from myself, which is accredited by the CTAA, Complementary Therapist Accredited Association. So let's move into Module 1, which is all about what is forensic psychology. Now, forensic psychologists cover a wide variety of tasks really within their remit or within their work. Now, this is an interesting role. If you do psychology anyway, you'll be branching out into another area of it, or if it's for your own self-development, then you'll be learning a lot here. But it can involve helping witnesses to remember details of a crime, assessing the dangers of a specific subject or perpetrator. So let's have a look at exactly what forensic psychologists actually do, because if you're using this as a career step, of course, you'll be looking for that yourself. So you'll be looking at beneath the surface of a criminal mind. So it's about peeling back the layers, looking at behavioural patterns, and determining actions and causes of behaviour. So you're really looking at why somebody's actually behaving in a certain way. They're going to be using psychological principles, and you're able to reduce then by doing that a list of suspects, so that you're providing or looking at a possible motive for a crime. So at times, testimonials, of course, from that forensic psychologist yourself can play and often play an important role in the conviction of somebody. So it's about forging connections between police, criminologists, doctor, legal teams, etc., etc. So the focus is on one person rather than the actual crime itself. So it's about looking at the thoughts and feelings of the person that has committed the crime. So it's worth noting that forensic psychology is not forensics, but it is looking at the thoughts and feelings of that person that has committed the crime. So let's have a look. As a psychologist, you are endeavouring to discover how people think, how they feel, and ultimately how they act. So within forensic psychologists, you're going to explore multiple aspects of a crime, and to do this, you've got to consider really the crime as an actual process. So let's look at that process. So this is where we are looking and putting a lot of information within the training manual for you. So the first is looking at the first part of the process is looking at the actual criminal itself. The next stage is when the crime is reported. The third stage is the investigation of the crime, and some forensic psychologists will help police with their procedures in that. The fourth stage is apprehending an offender. So this is the time when really, as a forensic psychologist, your work really starts to become involved in the matter. So you're going to be assessing the individual's ability to understand the legal process, to determine the criminal's mental state, and to see whether there's an awareness of consequences of the actions. So you're then looking at the fifth stage, which is the conviction, and then following the trial. So just because the trial is over, some people might think that's the end of everything, but there are still things to do there. So it's about the psychological assessment of a criminal that's still going to continue, and that can take place in a prison or in a place that's dealing with offenders. And of course, some of those people might have personality disorders. So you've got your 6 stages there of working as a forensic psychologist. So at the end now of Module 1, let's come to the self-assessment task. And there's just one for Module 1, and that is clarify your thoughts about forensic psychology now that you've reviewed this first module. What, in your own words, is your understanding of it? Now, the self-assessment you don't need to submit to me. That's just really for your own reflection. It's just the final assessment at the end of the course that you need to do that. So once you've done this self-assessment at the end of Module 1, I'll see you on Module 2. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen E. Wells, and welcome to Module 2, which is all about the criminal world on this Forensic Psychology Diploma course. So let's now look at the criminal world. Hopefully you've done the self-assessment task from Module 1. So let's now move into Module 2. So within forensic psychology, it's about looking beyond the point of the crime. Again, we talked about in Module 1 how it's considering the thoughts and feelings, but if we consider the thoughts of the criminal, and this means why they actually committed the act. But really, forensic psychology goes much deeper than this. So really, we need to ask what happened to make the person commit the crime. What was the thought process involved in that? Or really, was it not planned at all? We've also got to look at how the criminal actually carried out the crime. What steps were taken? How much thought went into that part of the process? Did it go to plan? And were there any other contributing factors to that? So there's numerous reasons, really, as we know, why people might commit a crime, but it's a case of looking at the facts that are known and then deliberating as to any notable factors as to why it occurred. So everybody, of course, is an individual. We're all unique. We all think and feel differently, which is part of that uniqueness. So those facts leading to a crime can be as varied as the personalities that commit them. So when somebody's termed even a criminal, it's because they've broken the law and they've been convicted of that. It doesn't necessarily reflect on their characteristics at all. So not all crimes are reported, and for some reported crimes, really you might say that few criminals are actually caught. But in fact, in many countries, reports might show that burglaries, for example, those that have been reported are likely to have a small percentage of success. It means then that very few criminals that have done that are actually going to be brought to justice. So when it comes to something more sinister, if you like murder, then the figures are more encouraging. Often that's because the person that committed the crime will be known to the victim, and even though they might necessarily not give themselves up, they can be more easily and readily tracked, if you like. We're looking at the cause of the crime. So almost anybody is capable of committing a crime, and even those who might perceive to be unlikely to do so could be pushed into a situation where they react in a bad way. So for much of this time, we can say that the majority of people would do their utmost to avoid doing anything really that is seriously criminal. So we're looking at a combination of things, different types of theft, and we're looking there at substance abuse. So, for example, is somebody going to commit a crime when they're under the influence of alcohol or drugs, if they have an addiction? So the pressure to continuously drink or take drugs could lead to them committing crimes to feed their habit. So we take that into consideration as well. Also, is there a genetic inheritance? So we're looking at brain damage, dysfunction, the passing of genes, hormones, physical stature. We're looking at the denial of criminality. So that's where the person is absolutely denying they've actually done anything at all, or it's completely not true what the victim said. We're looking at justification, minimization, rationalization, the fact that the criminal may lack empathy. There's a lack of self-control. There's also an excitement that some criminals are thrill seekers, and it might be that because of that, that's what's pushed them into doing that. And we're looking at control as well within the criminal. So within psychology, we have something called the locus of control, and this is the dominant influence on a person's life. So some criminals don't take responsibility for their actions. So we've got one self-assessment for you at the end of Module 2, and that is to consider your thoughts on nature versus nurture. How would an individual's childhood affect their potential to commit a crime? So again, for your own reflection, once you've done that, I'll see you on Module 3. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen E. Wells, and welcome to Module 3 on this Forensic Psychology Diploma course. So Module 3 is all about deception. So again, you would have done a self-assessment task at the end of Module 2. So let's now move on together to Module 3, all about deception. Now, within your role as a psychologist, a forensic psychologist, you're going to encounter these people who will lie to protect themselves or to also protect others. Now, while we have to really say that people will tell the truth for most of the time, some will try to deceive. So to ensure that the right person is found guilty of any crime, it's important to be able to filter out the truth and to detect those times when somebody is really deliberately lying or trying to hide the truth. And deception, of course, can occur for many reasons. Now, to understand deception within the role of a forensic psychologist, we've got to understand the nature of lying, because people lie really in different ways. So you'll see that somebody will try to tell a lie in the same way as if they're telling the truth. So they might try to hide the truth by providing information to mislead somebody. You might receive partial truths and they might omit some facts. This can make it difficult to, of course, form an accurate opinion of the person or the crime. They might tell the truth, but in such a way it would sound unbelievable. So, of course, you're going to encounter people as well with some level of psychosis. So if it's an extreme form, they're going to find it exceedingly difficult to differentiate between an imaginary situation and really what's real. So if the offender's an adult but has mental health issues or a learning disability, they may not be able to tell the difference between the facts and what they want the facts to be. So really, lying successfully is not really as easy as it sounds. So if somebody's trying to deliberately lie, they've got to first set up the lie. That requires imagination and ability to think through all aspects of the lie. They've got to hold the lie together, coupling it with the facts that are known. So there might be plausible possibilities. So the defender has to try to make their deception believable, and this highlights an intellectual. So there's 4 main considerations if somebody is lying or they want to practice deception. The first is a psychological approach, okay? So this is recording any psychological changes in the offender's body when they're answering questions. So it's looking perhaps a little bit at body language. The second is behavioural approach. This is where the person is assessed to see whether they're revealing any emotional or stressful implications of lying. The third is semantic assessment. This is where somebody's words are examined very carefully. The meaning to the answers are also examined. The fourth is the legal approach, so where the person is questioned in a court of law and a detailed examination of that statement occurs. So if we take a closer look at the psychological approach, we're looking at brain fingerprinting there. And this is where electrical activity in the brain is mapped. So this is really to deter and to see with the lie detector test, which we would call brain fingerprinting. The second is observations, where we're monitoring somebody's behaviour. The third is micro-twitching or twitches. So this is another fight against deception. So some examples of that would be if a suspect is asked about his feelings towards a victim, and his verbal response is that he likes the person, and he says this with some confidence, you might spot a micro-twitch. So micro-twitching is one of the elements there. Paralinguistic cues as well. So this is where somebody talks more often about what they would say. Semantic assessment. We've put information there for you. False confessions, because, hey, that's going to happen, and it certainly does happen too. So quite in-depth, Module 3. We've got some more self-assessment tasks there for you. The first being, why would a suspect confess to a crime they didn't commit? The second being, describe semantic assessment. The third being, what's meant by paralinguistic cues. The fourth being, what's a micro-twitch. The fifth and last assessment on Module 3 is what's meant by a psychological approach. Once you've done that, I'll see you on Module 4. Have a great day. Hi, my name is Dr. Karen E. Wells and welcome to Module 4 on this Forensic Psychology Diploma course. So Module 4 is all about interviewing. So let's have a look at what this is going to entail when the interviewing process for a criminal act and with a criminal actually happens. So the thought of committing the perfect crime is likely to be desired by any criminal really. If the crime's not reported for some reason, or if it is reported but it's been cleverly committed with a great deal of planning, it can be difficult to uncover any clues that might indicate a suspect. So, information gain can be confusing and lead an investigation in completely the wrong direction. So, let's have a look at the interview. So when you, as the forensic psychologist, are called in to interview a suspect or a witness, it's important to gain as accurate as an account as possible. So your requirements are going to be very difficult to those of the police. They're going to be concerned with finding further evidence and perhaps deciding on whether the event is even a criminal offence. If the answer is yes, then they need to consider whether there were any other witnesses or, of course, in fact, victims. So, to form a picture of the crime and the offender, you will use crime scene records, including photos and videos. You might also be able to use fingerprints and other forensic impressions, personal records like emails, diaries, records of medical treatments or births or deaths, trace evidence, biological evidence too. Now, you're going to be using all the evidence available to you, and that is going to help you to form a more rounded picture of the crime. So, the witness, let's have a look at the witness. Now, we've stated so far in the course that if possible, an eyewitness is important. So if we assume that you need to interview a witness and your role is to glean as many facts about the crime scene as possible, you're going to make the witness feel as comfortable and as relaxed as they can, because of course it might be nerve-wracking for them. So each interview that you're going to do is going to be very different to the one before. Each interview, each person is going to be different. And it's about building a rapport with a witness so that you can judge how far to push them, at what speed you want to ask those questions. So if the witness, of course, has seen a really traumatic scene, then they might feel nervous, frustrated, even afraid. So to develop that rapport with somebody, which you would do with your psychology clients anyway, you're always going to listen carefully to everything the witness says. You're going to show respect, be non-confrontational, and show sympathy if they're anxious. So we've put a task in there for you. And then we're looking at memory. So two types of memory: long-term memory, short-term memory. So long-term memory, of course, is where the individual has to recall a memory that's been filed away in their brain. Short-term memory is a recent event that's usually fresher in the mind's eye. So there's a lot of information there. Now we've put some details in there about the cognitive interview and how to really help somebody when you're interviewing there and what to do. We've put some information there about interviewing suspects, about hypnosis, because sometimes with long-term memory, if it's really stored away, hypnosis may be used to help somebody remember something that's been stored within the brain, especially if it's traumatic. Eyewitness testimony, and quite a lot of information there for you. So, at the end of Module 4, we have put a number of self-assessment tasks there for you. The first is, what are mnemomics? The second is, explain unconscious transference. The third is, how many types of memory is there? The fourth is, why might a suspect confess to a crime that he or she did not commit? The fifth being, how quickly does memory start to degrade? So when you've done those and take your time over them, we'll see you on Module 5. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen E. Wells and welcome to Module 5 on this fully accredited professional Forensic Psychology Diploma course. Now, Module 5 is all about understanding victims of crime. So it's important to understand the impact that crime can have on a victim. Now, as we've said before already in the course, there's many different types of crime. Some will understandably have long-term and long-lasting effects. And it's worth noting, of course, that no two crimes will affect people in the same way. Every person responds, reacts, deals with things differently. The extent of that, of course, is going to be influenced by many factors, including the seriousness of the crime itself and how the person is likely to recover as a result. So criminal activity can range from burglary to identity theft, fraud, domestic violence, rape, of course, even murder too. So becoming a victim of a crime can be shocking in itself, of course. And of course, many victims specify that they lose their sense of trust in other people, which is understandable. Their lives become difficult as a result because they stop taking people at face value. They feel vulnerable and they feel lost. So if the crime was physical, even the slightest noise can make the victim anxious and worry about their personal safety. So we put quite a bit in there for you. So make sure that you're reading definitely this module within the training manual. And of course, vulnerability, disbelief are a common feeling. So most people tend to feel that they're safe from any threat and that a crime happens to other people, not to them. It's a feeling of safety and confidence. And if that's stripped from them, it can have absolutely devastating results. So inner confidence, belief is taken away, trust is likely to dissipate. So after a crime's occurred, some victims can experience eating disorders, feeling of insecurity, low confidence, low self-esteem, difficulties relating to other people. Now, we've put some information there about child abuse too, and about justice. So it's quite in-depth, Module 5. At the end there, you've got 3 self-assessment tasks. The first being, how does being a victim of crime make a person feel? The second being, how can a criminal become a victim of crime? And the third being, how can you, as that forensic psychologist, help a victim to feel better? Once you've done those, I'll see you on the next module. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen E. Wells and welcome to Module 6 on this Forensic Psychology Diploma course. Module 6 is all about measuring and assessing. So it's important to achieve insight into the mind, as we've looked at so far, of the suspect or the offender, the criminal. Now that's going to take time, but it's possible by using psychological techniques. And really that's what we're looking at within this module. So if we look at measuring, testing and assessing, there's been a great deal of research into methods used in forensic psychology. So with confidence in tools and techniques, it's possible to assess individuals using an investigation and even after conviction. So it's about standardized processes which have been developed very carefully and to ensure that they provide reliable and useful data. So we're looking at psychological tests. So the first of these is about projective procedures. So these are where images are interpreted, which then indicate facets of somebody's subconscious. The second is objective questionnaire style test. And this is really where you do need the training manual because we're going to go very in depth in the manual for this, okay? The third being measures of intellect and cognition. The fourth is interviewing. So you might be told the truth, you might be told a partial truth, you might be told a complete lie. So that's important to look at the interviewing there. Then we're looking at projective techniques, assessment through performance, standardized psychological tests, cognitive tests, attention, memory, reasoning, identifying that personality, etc., etc. So this is a very, very in-depth module, and you will certainly need to read the training manual there. Okay, so we've put a lot of information in there, cognitive distortions, memory tests, all about analysis that you will do as that forensic psychologist. We've also put some information on a type 1 psychopath, type 2 psychopaths there, so you can read about those. The dynamic factors, the static factors, the protective factors. So it's all there for you to read. You've got 4 self-assessment tasks, the first being what is meant by cognitive tests. The second is what is a thematic apperception test. The third is what's meant by cognitive distortions. The fourth is explain your understanding of psychopathy. When you've done those, I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen E. Wells, and welcome now to the final assessment, the summary on this Forensic Psychology Diploma course. So your final assessment to submit to us via the instructions within your course is 2 things that you need to do. The first is to send to us, explain your view on forensic psychology now that you've studied the course. You've got to clarify your understanding of the role and any thoughts you may have about the techniques and processes. The second is to prepare a case study using the information given within the course to help you assess a known criminal. You're going to choose one whose story is available online, so you can choose anybody really, and make this as in-depth as possible, showing your comprehension of the course contents. Okay, so that's your final assessment to get your certificate from me. I really hope that you've enjoyed the course. It's been an absolute pleasure to put it together for you, and I hope to see you on one of our other courses. Have a great day. Hi, I'm Dr. Karen E. Wells, and thanks for taking my course. I really hope that you've gained everything that you need from the course and you've enjoyed your learning. If you wanted to extend your studying or to take things further with a coaching program, why not head over to my website at www.karenewells.com. Once you head over to my website, you'll find that it looks like this, and then if you simply go to coaching programs, there's 3 options that I've put together to work on a deeper level for people like you. You can even join my private coaching, which I offer as a 6 or 12-month private coaching business to make your therapy business into a success. Now that's application only, so what you do is you click here to apply here, fill out the details, and then I'll get back to you. If you've taken one of my hypnotherapy or regression courses, you might want to extend your learning further and to jump on one of my specially designed courses, which is the Hypnotherapy Code for Massive Client Breakthroughs, or my Regression Mastermind. Now these are going to extend everything that you've learned so far if you've already studied hypnotherapy or regression with me, or if you're brand new to those subjects, jump on board and watch the webinars that I've put together there. These are special programs that have a coaching element to them, which is completely unique to the hypnotherapy and the regression fields. However, if you wanted to continue with your self-study, that's absolutely no problem at all. Simply go over to my self-study course library, and you can find out and study any of my courses here. The great thing is that you can get access to my all course access pass, where for a lifetime or a monthly fee, you can access every course that I've ever made. So go ahead and click on that link and you'll see my all access pass. We also have a private Facebook group too for my students, which you're absolutely welcome to join. So if you go ahead and search for Transformational Therapy with Dr. Karen E. Wells, you can join my free Facebook group. But I hope that you've enjoyed your learning with your course, and if you want to extend that into one of my coaching programs or to simply join my all access pass, head over to www.karenewells.com. Have a great day.